The biggest mistake most people make about diamonds is believing they've never been fooled. Because somewhere in the world right now, someone is admiring a sparkling diamond that isn't a diamond at all. Nature has been creating breathtaking white gemstones for millions of years, some so convincing they've fooled collectors, jewelers, and even scientists. Yet most people have never heard their names. Today that changes. These are 10 white gemstones, so beautiful. They're often mistaken for diamonds. Don't forget to press and hold that like button, leave a comment, and hit subscribe before we begin. Number 10. White topaz. At first glance, it looks like a flawless diamond. Its crystal clear appearance flashes brilliantly under the light, sparkling with enough brilliance to fool countless casual observers. Set into a ring or pendant, few people would immediately question what they were seeing. Yet beneath that familiar diamond-like beauty lies an entirely different gemstone, one that has spent centuries living in the shadow of the world's most famous jewel. White topaz is the colorless variety of topaz, a mineral formed deep within cavities of cooling granite-rich magma. Unlike diamonds, which crystallize under extraordinary pressure more than 150 kilometers beneath Earth's surface, topaz grows under far gentler geological conditions. Even so, nature can produce crystals of astonishing clarity, allowing skilled gem cutters to transform them into gems that closely resemble diamonds from across a room. That resemblance has made white topaz one of the world's most accessible diamond lookalikes. Jewelers have long used it as an elegant alternative for people seeking the appearance of a colorless gemstone without the extraordinary cost of a natural diamond. Under soft indoor lighting, many observers notice only the bright sparkle, never realizing the stone is something entirely different. But the illusion doesn't last forever. The closer the gem is examined, the more its true identity begins to emerge. White topaz reflects light with a softer, calmer brilliance than a diamond. It lacks the intense flashes of rainbow-colored fire that have made diamonds legendary for centuries. Over years of everyday wear, its polished facets can gradually develop tiny scratches, gently reducing the crisp reflections that once made it so convincing. Even so, that hasn't diminished its appeal. Collectors and gem enthusiasts often admire white topaz for exactly what it is rather than what it imitates. Large, exceptionally clean crystals have been discovered in Brazil, Pakistan, Russia, Sri Lanka, and parts of the United States, with some natural crystals weighing hundreds of kilograms before cutting. Their remarkable transparency offers a rare opportunity to appreciate nature's ability to create extraordinary beauty without relying on extreme rarity or extraordinary price. And that raises an intriguing question. If a gemstone can capture the elegance of a diamond while forming through a completely different journey beneath the earth, what truly defines beauty, a name, a price tag, or the remarkable story hidden inside the crystal itself? The next gemstone takes that mystery even further, because unlike white topaz, it belongs to the very same mineral family as one of the world's most treasured gems, emerald. Number 9. Goshanite. Long before its true identity is revealed, many people see only one thing: a crystal-clear gemstone that catches the light with remarkable elegance, displaying the same icy brilliance that has made diamonds a universal symbol of luxury. Its transparency is so pure that, when expertly cut, it can easily leave observers wondering whether they are looking at a valuable diamond or something far less familiar. The answer surprises even experienced gemstone enthusiasts. This is Goshanite, the colorless variety of beryl, a mineral family that also includes emerald and aquamarine. Unlike its famous green and blue relatives, Goshanite contains almost none of the trace elements responsible for vivid color. Iron, chromium, and manganese are largely absent, leaving behind an exceptionally pure crystal that appears almost invisible in its natural state. That simplicity is precisely what makes it extraordinary. Some of the finest Goshanite crystals form inside giant granite pegmatites, where mineral-rich fluids cool so slowly that enormous, flawless crystals have time to develop over millions of years. In places such as Brazil, Madagascar, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Namibia, miners occasionally uncover transparent beryl crystals so clean that they seem almost unreal before a single facet has even been cut. Once transformed by a skilled gem cutter, the illusion becomes remarkably convincing. Across a jewelry counter, Goshanite's bright white appearance can resemble a diamond at first glance, especially under soft showroom lighting. Many people focus on its crystal-clear beauty without realizing they are looking at a completely different mineral. Yet the resemblance begins to fade as the light changes. Unlike a diamond, Goshanite produces gentler reflections and lacks the powerful flashes of spectral fire that make diamonds appear almost alive under direct illumination. That difference is no accident. Diamonds owe their famous sparkle to an unusually high refractive index, allowing light to bend and return with exceptional intensity. Goshanite follows an entirely different optical path, creating a softer, calmer elegance that rewards careful observation rather than overwhelming the eye with brilliance. Its history is equally fascinating. Named after Goshen, Massachusetts, where the gemstone was first scientifically described in the early 19th century, Goshanite has quietly remained one of the least celebrated members of the beryl family. While emeralds have adorned royal crowns and aquamarines have captivated collectors for centuries, their colorless sibling has spent much of its existence hidden in plain sight. Beautiful enough to imitate a diamond, yet distinctive enough to tell an entirely different geological story. And the next gemstone raises the stakes dramatically. Unlike Goshanite, it isn't simply mistaken for a diamond. For generations, it was deliberately chosen as one of the world's most trusted natural alternatives to one. Number 8. White sapphire. For generations, countless engagement rings have dazzled the eye without containing a single diamond. To most people, the difference is nearly impossible to spot at first glance. The gemstone appears icy white, brilliantly transparent, and elegant enough to carry all the visual prestige of a diamond. Yet hidden beneath its polished surface is a completely different mineral, one with a history that stretches back millions of years and a reputation earned long before modern diamond alternatives became popular. This is white sapphire, the colorless variety of corundum. Corundum is one of the hardest minerals on Earth, ranking 9 on the Mohs hardness scale, second only to diamond. While traces of elements like iron or titanium create the rich blues of sapphires, and chromium produces the fiery reds of rubies, white sapphire forms when those coloring elements are almost entirely absent. The result is a gemstone of remarkable purity, revealing the natural beauty of corundum in its simplest form. Its journey begins deep beneath ancient mountain belts, where intense heat and pressure slowly transform aluminum-rich rocks over millions of years. Some of the world's finest white sapphires have been recovered from the legendary gem gravels of Sri Lanka, while others emerge from deposits in Madagascar, Myanmar, Thailand, and Australia. Each crystal represents an extraordinary geological process that predates human civilization by hundreds of millions of years. For decades, white sapphire quietly became one of the jewelry world's best-kept secrets. Before moissanite entered the market and long before laboratory-grown diamonds became widely available, jewelers often recommended white sapphire to customers seeking the elegance of a colorless gemstone without purchasing a diamond. Its exceptional durability made it ideal for rings worn every day, while its natural origin appealed to buyers who wanted a genuine gemstone rather than an imitation. But even the most convincing illusion has its limits. Under bright lighting, white sapphire reveals a softer personality. It reflects light with graceful brilliance, yet it lacks the explosive rainbow flashes, known as fire, that make diamonds instantly recognizable to trained eyes. Instead of dazzling with dramatic bursts of color, white sapphire offers a quieter, more refined glow that many collectors appreciate for its understated sophistication. That subtle elegance is exactly why it continues to earn respect among gem experts. It never pretends to be a diamond. Instead, it demonstrates that beauty can come from entirely different geological origins while standing confidently on its own merits. Yet the next gemstone tells a far more surprising story. Its name has confused millions of people for decades, causing many to mistake it for a synthetic imitation. In reality, it is a completely natural gemstone, one whose fiery brilliance has fooled observers for centuries. Number 7. Colorless zircon. Few gemstones have suffered from a greater case of mistaken identity than this one. Mention the word zircon, and many people immediately think of cubic zirconia, the inexpensive synthetic material created to imitate diamonds. It has become such a common association that countless buyers assume natural zircon is simply another man-made substitute. Nothing could be further from the truth. Colorless zircon is a completely natural gemstone formed by Earth's geological processes billions of years before humans ever learned to cut diamonds. In fact, some zircon crystals found in Western Australia have been dated to more than 4.3 billion years old, making them among the oldest known minerals on the entire planet. These microscopic crystals have even helped scientists reconstruct what Earth looked like during its earliest chapter, long before continents, oceans, and life existed as they do today. Yet despite that extraordinary scientific importance, most people know zircon for an entirely different reason: its appearance. When a high-quality colorless zircon is expertly cut, it displays an intense brilliance combined with remarkable fire. The colorful flashes created as white light separates into a spectrum of colors. For centuries, these vivid flashes caused jewelers, traders, and buyers to mistake colorless zircon for diamond, especially under candlelight or the warm glow of early electric lamps. Long before modern laboratory testing existed, distinguishing the two could be surprisingly difficult. The illusion becomes even more convincing because zircon possesses one of the highest refractive indices among natural gemstones commonly used in jewelry. As light races through the crystal, it produces dazzling reflections that immediately draw the eye. In motion, the gemstone seems almost alive, throwing bright flashes that can rival far more expensive stones. But nature always leaves a signature. Unlike diamond, zircon has a lower hardness, meaning its facet edges gradually become rounded after years of daily wear. Under magnification, trained gemologists can also observe double refraction, an optical effect that causes the back facets to appear slightly doubled when viewed through the table of the stone. That subtle characteristic instantly reveals the gem's true identity, no matter how convincing its sparkle may seem. Its finest crystals have been discovered in Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Vietnam, and Australia, where volcanic activity and ancient geological processes created ideal conditions for exceptionally transparent zircon to form. Some specimens possess such outstanding clarity that, even today, they continue to surprise collectors encountering them for the first time. Perhaps the greatest irony is that zircon has spent decades being confused with an imitation that borrowed part of its name. A gemstone older than almost any other mineral on Earth has been overshadowed by a synthetic material that arrived only in the 20th century. And the next gemstone proves that sometimes rarity is even more deceptive than brilliance, because very few people have ever heard its name, yet one glance is often enough to make them believe they're looking at a flawless diamond. Number 6. Danburite. Not every gemstone earns attention through fame. Some remain hidden for generations, quietly admired by gemologists while the rest of the world never learns their name. Yet when one of these rare crystals is placed beside a diamond, the reaction is often the same. What kind of diamond is that? The surprise begins with its appearance. Danburite is one of the clearest natural gemstones ever discovered. Its exceptional transparency, crisp brilliance, and elegant white sparkle allow it to resemble a fine diamond at first glance, especially when cut into classic round or oval shapes. To an untrained eye, the differences are remarkably difficult to recognize without specialized equipment or careful comparison. Its story begins more than 100 million years beneath the Earth's surface. Danburite forms when boron-rich fluids circulate through limestone during intense geological activity. Over immense spans of time, heat, pressure, and mineral-rich solutions combine to create long, perfectly shaped prismatic crystals. Unlike gemstones that occur in vast deposits, Danburite is found only under very specific geological conditions, making high-quality transparent specimens considerably less common than many people realize. The gemstone was first identified in Danbury, Connecticut, in 1839, the town that eventually gave it its name. Since then, notable deposits have also been discovered in Mexico, Myanmar, Japan, Russia, Madagascar, and Bolivia. Among collectors, crystals from Charcas, Mexico, are especially prized for their remarkable size and extraordinary clarity, with some specimens appearing almost as though they were carved from frozen water. That natural purity is exactly what makes Danburite so deceptive. Under bright lighting, its polished facets return clean white reflections that immediately evoke the appearance of a diamond. Across a display case, many observers focus on its brilliance without realizing they are looking at an entirely different mineral. The illusion becomes even stronger because Danburite often contains far fewer visible inclusions than many other natural gemstones, giving it an almost impossibly pristine appearance. But the resemblance has its limits. A diamond's legendary sparkle comes from its exceptionally high refractive index and powerful dispersion, producing dramatic flashes of rainbow-colored fire. Danburite reflects light more gently, creating a refined, crystal-like brilliance rather than an overwhelming explosion of color. To gemologists, that softer optical signature reveals its true identity almost immediately. Ironically, that quiet elegance is exactly why Danburite has become increasingly respected among collectors. It doesn't rely on rarity alone or attempt to imitate a diamond. Instead, it offers something different. A gemstone whose beauty comes from extraordinary natural clarity, remarkable geological origins, and the fact that so few people have ever had the chance to see one in person. But the next gemstone carries an even stranger secret. Its very name was inspired by deception itself, because the first scientists who studied it believed it was pretending to be something else. Number 5. Phenakite. In 1833, a group of mineralogists believed they had discovered another familiar crystal. The transparent stone looked so convincing that it repeatedly fooled experts into thinking it belonged to an entirely different mineral. It wasn't until careful scientific examination revealed the truth that the mistake became impossible to ignore. The deception was so memorable that the gemstone itself was given a name inspired by the Greek word phenax, meaning deceiver. Few gemstones in history have earned a name quite like that. Unlike diamonds, which form deep within Earth's mantle under immense pressure, Phenakite grows in rare beryllium-rich environments inside pegmatites and high-temperature metamorphic rocks. These geological conditions occur only in a handful of places around the world, making fine gem-quality phenakite far scarcer than many people realize. Every transparent crystal is the product of an extraordinarily uncommon combination of chemistry, heat, pressure, and time. But rarity isn't what makes this gemstone unforgettable. It's what happens after the crystal is cut. Place a perfectly faceted phenakite under bright white light, and it immediately captures attention with its icy transparency and crisp brilliance. From across a jewelry showcase, many observers instinctively assume they are looking at an expensive diamond. The illusion becomes even stronger because exceptional phenakite often appears remarkably clean, with few visible inclusions to interrupt the passage of light. Then comes the moment that changes everything. A gemologist lifts the stone beneath magnification, studies the way light travels through the crystal, and quietly reaches a very different conclusion. The spectacular sparkle remains, but the gemstone isn't a diamond at all. It is one of the rarest transparent minerals ever fashioned into jewelry, a gemstone that has spent nearly 2 centuries living up to the extraordinary meaning of its own name. Some of the finest phenakite crystals have been discovered in Brazil, Madagascar, Russia, Myanmar, and Nigeria, where miners occasionally uncover transparent specimens hidden among far more common minerals. Large eye-clean crystals are exceptionally uncommon, and many never reach jewelry stores, finding permanent homes instead in museum collections and the vaults of serious mineral collectors. Perhaps that's the greatest irony of all. The gemstone known as the deceiver has never tried to imitate a diamond. Nature simply gave it the clarity, brilliance, and elegance to create that illusion on its own. And just when it seems impossible for another white gemstone to become even more convincing, the next discovery proves otherwise. The crystal you're about to see has fooled countless observers, not because of its name, but because almost nobody expects a gemstone this brilliant to be so astonishingly rare. Number 4. Colorless spinel. For centuries, some of the world's most famous gemstones were hiding under the wrong names. Royal treasuries proudly displayed magnificent jewels believed to be rubies, only for modern science to reveal a startling truth. Many of them were actually spinels, a completely different mineral that had fooled kings, merchants, and collectors for hundreds of years. That discovery changed gemological history forever. But among all the vibrant reds, blues, and pinks that made spinel famous, there exists a far rarer treasure that almost nobody talks about: a perfectly colorless spinel. At first glance, it possesses everything people instinctively associate with a fine diamond. Exceptional transparency, brilliant white reflections, razor-sharp facets. Under the bright lights of a jewelry display, even experienced buyers can hesitate for a moment before realizing they are looking at something entirely different. Its rarity begins deep underground. Colorless spinel forms only when nature creates nearly pure magnesium aluminum oxide crystals, free from the trace elements that normally produce spinel's celebrated colors. That seemingly simple absence is extraordinarily uncommon. In most deposits, tiny amounts of chromium, cobalt, or iron transform the crystals into vivid reds, blues, violets, or pinks. A crystal that remains completely colorless is the geological exception rather than the rule. That is why gem-quality specimens are so rarely seen. The finest examples have been recovered from legendary gem-producing regions such as Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Tanzania, Vietnam, and Tajikistan. Even there, miners may spend years uncovering thousands of colorful spinels before finding a single crystal clear enough to rival the appearance of a diamond. Then comes the moment that surprises almost everyone. Place a flawless, colorless spinel beside a diamond, and the similarities are immediately striking. Both appear icy white. Both reflect light with remarkable brilliance. Both can look nearly identical from across a room. Yet under closer examination, their personalities begin to separate. A diamond releases explosive flashes of spectral fire, while colorless spinel produces a smoother, more balanced brilliance, elegant rather than overwhelming. Ironically, its greatest strength is also the reason it remains overlooked. Most collectors search for spinel because of its extraordinary colors, leaving the colorless variety quietly hidden in the shadows. Yet its scarcity makes it one of the least familiar white gemstones in the world, despite possessing the beauty to stand confidently beside far more famous gems. And the next gemstone takes this mystery even further. Unlike every crystal you've seen so far, it is so extraordinarily rare that many lifelong gemstone enthusiasts never encounter a natural example. Yet when they finally do, the first word that comes to mind is almost always the same: diamond. Number 3. Achroite. Imagine discovering one of the rarest members of one of Earth's most colorful gemstone families, and finding that it has almost no color at all. It sounds like a contradiction, but nature has a way of creating its greatest surprises through the unexpected. While tourmaline is celebrated for its dazzling greens, electric blues, vivid pinks, and the legendary Paraíba varieties worth fortunes, one extraordinary member of the family has spent centuries hidden in their shadow. Its name is Achroite, the colorless variety of tourmaline. The name comes from the Greek word meaning without color, a description that hardly prepares anyone for what the gemstone actually looks like. When a flawless achroite is cut to perfection, it produces an elegant white brilliance that can easily convince an unsuspecting observer they are looking at a fine diamond. In a jewelry display, its crisp transparency, bright reflections, and remarkable clarity create an illusion that few would expect from a gemstone most people have never even heard of. But its greatest mystery isn't its appearance, it's its rarity. Tourmaline normally owes its spectacular colors to tiny amounts of elements such as iron, manganese, copper, or chromium. Those microscopic impurities are responsible for some of the most valuable gemstones ever discovered. Achroite forms only when nature does something incredibly unusual, creating a crystal almost completely free of those coloring elements. That delicate chemical balance is so uncommon that truly colorless tourmalines represent only a tiny fraction of all tourmaline ever mined. Finding one is anything but routine. Fine Achroite has been recovered from only a handful of locations, including Brazil, Madagascar, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Namibia, and Sri Lanka. Even in these famous gem-producing regions, miners may extract countless colorful tourmalines before uncovering a single crystal transparent enough to qualify as true Achroite. Many gemologists can spend an entire career without seeing an exceptional natural specimen in person. That scarcity makes every finished gemstone feel almost improbable. Unlike diamonds, whose brilliance comes from extraordinary optical power, Achroite captivates through remarkable purity. Light glides effortlessly through the crystal, producing a clean, icy sparkle that appears delicate rather than dramatic. It doesn't overwhelm the eye with brilliant flashes of rainbow fire. Instead, it invites a second look, precisely because its beauty feels so quietly refined. Perhaps that's why Achroite remains one of the gemstone world's best-kept secrets. It never became famous because of royal crowns or record-breaking auction prices. It became extraordinary because nature created something almost impossible, a gemstone from one of the world's most colorful mineral families that chose to abandon color altogether. And the next gemstone tells an even more astonishing story. It doesn't just resemble a diamond. For millions of people around the world, it has become the gemstone most likely to be mistaken for one. Number 2. White moissanite. If two sparkling gemstones were placed side by side under a jewelry store's brightest lights, most people would confidently point to the wrong one. The stone releasing the most dramatic flashes of rainbow light, the one that seems almost impossibly brilliant, isn't always the diamond. Sometimes it's moissanite. That revelation has surprised countless buyers around the world. In fact, white moissanite has become the gemstone most frequently mistaken for a diamond in modern jewelry. Not because it imitates beauty poorly, but because its optical performance can be so extraordinary that the human eye often struggles to tell the difference. Its story, however, begins far from any jewelry store. In 1893, French scientist Henri Moissan was studying fragments from a meteor crater in Arizona when he discovered tiny crystals unlike anything he had seen before. At first, he believed he had found microscopic diamonds created by the immense force of a meteorite impact. Years later, detailed analysis revealed a remarkable surprise. The crystals were not diamonds at all, but an entirely different mineral composed of silicon carbide. A completely new gemstone had entered scientific history. Natural moissanite is extraordinarily rare. Only microscopic crystals have been found in meteorites, certain mantle-derived rocks, and a few exceptional geological environments. Because crystals large enough for jewelry are almost never produced by nature, virtually all moissanite used in modern gemstones is grown in laboratories using advanced technology while preserving the same crystal structure and optical properties as the natural mineral. And that's where the real illusion begins. Under direct lighting, white moissanite produces an explosion of colorful flashes known as fire. In fact, its dispersion is even higher than that of diamond, allowing it to separate white light into brilliant spectral colors with astonishing intensity. To many observers, the gemstone appears even more dramatic than the world's most famous jewel, creating a dazzling display that instantly captures attention. Yet that spectacular brilliance also reveals its identity. Experienced gemologists often recognize moissanite by its distinctive optical character. The rainbow flashes are typically more vivid and more frequent than those of a diamond, giving the gemstone a lively personality all its own rather than making it a perfect copy. Instead of pretending to be something else, moissanite has gradually earned respect as a remarkable gemstone in its own right, one whose beauty comes from extraordinary science, fascinating origins, and exceptional optical performance. Ironically, the gemstone most often mistaken for a diamond didn't begin its journey deep beneath Earth's crust. Its story began with a visitor from space, but the final gemstone on this list has an even more surprising claim to fame. Long before modern laboratories, before engagement rings, and before gemologists had the tools to separate one crystal from another, this extraordinary stone had already been convincing people they were looking at diamonds. Number 1. Herkimer diamond. For more than 300 years, people have picked up these crystals from the ground believing they had discovered diamonds. Some were found scattered across farm fields. Others emerged from ancient layers of limestone hidden beneath the forests of New York State. They sparkled in the sunlight with astonishing clarity, displaying naturally formed crystal faces so perfect that many early settlers could hardly believe what they were seeing. Word spread quickly: diamonds had been found. Or so they thought. The crystals would eventually become known as Herkimer diamonds, named after Herkimer County, New York, where they were first widely discovered. Despite the famous nickname, they are not diamonds at all. They are exceptionally transparent quartz crystals that nature shaped with such remarkable precision that they earned one of the most misleading and unforgettable names in the gemstone world. Their story began nearly 500 million years ago. Long before dinosaurs walked the earth, mineral-rich fluids slowly filled tiny cavities inside ancient dolostone. Over immense spans of geological time, quartz crystals grew freely within those open spaces, developing sharp points at both ends instead of remaining attached to surrounding rock. This unusual process produced perfectly terminated crystals that often appear as though an expert gem cutter had already polished them. Then nature added one more surprise. Many Herkimer diamonds emerged from the rock already crystal clear, requiring little or no cutting before being mounted into jewelry. Their brilliant transparency and naturally faceted geometry create an immediate resemblance to polished diamonds, especially under bright light. Even today, visitors discovering one for the first time often ask the same question: is that really a diamond? The answer is always no, yet that doesn't make the discovery any less extraordinary. Unlike diamonds, whose value is often measured by rarity, price, and tradition, Herkimer diamonds represent something entirely different. They remind us that breathtaking beauty isn't reserved for a single gemstone. Sometimes one of nature's greatest masterpieces forms through an entirely different geological journey and still possesses the power to stop people in their tracks. Perhaps that's why this remarkable crystal deserves the final place on this list. Every gemstone you've seen today has challenged the idea that only diamonds can inspire wonder. Some dazzled with incredible fire, others captivated with flawless clarity. A few remained hidden for centuries despite their extraordinary beauty. But Herkimer diamond tells the most fitting story of all. It doesn't imitate a diamond because a jeweler designed it that way. It doesn't resemble a diamond because modern technology perfected it. It earned that reputation naturally, long before anyone gave it a name. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson hidden within these remarkable white gemstones. Sometimes the world's most unforgettable treasures aren't the ones everyone recognizes. They're the ones that quietly convince us to look twice. 10 remarkable gemstones, 10 completely different geological journeys, and one unforgettable lesson. A diamond isn't the only crystal capable of inspiring wonder. From the ancient brilliance of zircon to the remarkable illusion of moissanite, from the forgotten beauty of Goshanite to the naturally formed Herkimer diamond, each gemstone has revealed that nature's greatest masterpieces aren't always the ones with the most famous name. So, which of these white gemstones surprised you the most? Share your answer in the comments, and if there's another extraordinary gemstone you think deserves its own documentary, let everyone know below. If you enjoyed exploring the hidden stories behind Earth's most incredible treasures, be sure to subscribe and join us for more premium documentaries uncovering the science, history, and legends of the world's most fascinating gemstones. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next adventure beneath the surface of our planet.